Rachel Carter stood in the middle of her small but cozy apartment. Her eyes scanning the vision board on the wall. Pictures of futuristic electric cars, motivational quotes, and snapshots of her family and friends filled the board. But in the center was the image that had kept her motivated for years: a sleek electric car. A model known for its cutting-edge technology and environmental promise. For Rachel, the car was more than just a vehicle. It was a symbol of her journey, a testament to her perseverance and a statement of her values. As a woman of color, Rachel knew all too well the obstacles society placed in her path. But she had spent her life turning those obstacles into stepping stones. Rachel grew up in Brookhaven, a small town with charm but limited opportunities. Her parents, hard-working and determined, instilled in her the belief that education and perseverance were the keys to a brighter future. Her father, a mechanic with an encyclopedic knowledge of engines, often told her, "Rachel, never let anyone tell you what you can't do. If the door's closed, find a window, or build your own door." Her mother, a school teacher, encouraged her intellectual curiosity, sparking Rachel's fascination with technology. Rachel spent countless hours in her father's garage, learning how engines worked and listening to him talk about how electric vehicles, EVs, would change the world one day. Those early lessons stayed with her, shaping her dream to not just own an EV but to live a life that embodied progress and innovation. After high school, Rachel earned a scholarship to study engineering at a prestigious university. The academic environment was rigorous, and as one of the few women of color in her program, Rachel often felt isolated. Despite the odds, she graduated with honors and took a job at a tech company in the city. Her career flourished, but she never forgot the lessons of her upbringing: hard work, humility, and the importance of giving back. Rachel's passion for EVs grew stronger with time. She followed advancements in the field closely, becoming an advocate for sustainable energy solutions. She even volunteered to teach STEM workshops to underprivileged youth, hoping to inspire the next generation of innovators. Through it all, Rachel carried her dream quietly in her heart. She began saving for her ideal EV, cutting back on luxuries and putting aside every spare dollar. For Rachel, the car wasn't just a purchase, it was a milestone, a reward for years of hard work and a tangible step toward the future she believed in. Saving for the car wasn't easy. Rachel's modest salary went toward rent, bills, and supporting her younger brother, Tyler, who was studying medicine. There were times when the goal seemed unattainable: emergency expenses, medical bills, and life's unpredictability often threatened to derail her plan. But Rachel never gave up. She kept a notebook where she meticulously tracked her savings and progress. Every time she felt discouraged, she'd look at the picture of the car on her vision board and remind herself why she started. It wasn't just a car, it was a promise to herself. 5 years later, Rachel finally reached her goal. Her savings account reflected the fruits of her sacrifice and discipline. She could barely believe it when the number on her calculator confirmed she had enough to purchase the car outright. That evening, Rachel stood in front of her vision board, tears of pride welling up in her eyes. She called her best friend, Mia, to share the news. "Mia, it's happening," Rachel said, her voice trembling with excitement. "I'm going to buy it, the car I've been dreaming of." Mia cheered on the other end of the line. "You deserve this, Rach. You've worked so hard for it. When are you going to the showroom?" "This weekend," Rachel replied, her voice steady with determination. "I've done all the research. I know exactly what I want. And I'm ready." The night before her trip to the showroom, Rachel laid out her outfit carefully: a simple navy blazer, white blouse, and tailored trousers. She wanted to look professional and confident, a reflection of the person she had become. She reviewed her notebook one last time, ensuring she had all the details about the car's features, options, and pricing memorized. She even prepared questions to ask the salesperson. Rachel wanted to walk into the showroom fully informed and ready to make her dream a reality. As she sat at her kitchen table that night, sipping a cup of chamomile tea, Rachel allowed herself a moment of reflection. The journey had been long and filled with challenges, but she had never let go of her vision. Tomorrow, she would step into the showroom as someone who had earned her place there, not because of wealth or privilege, but because of resilience and hard work. "I've got this," Rachel whispered to herself as she turned off the lights and headed to bed. Her heart raced with anticipation for the day ahead. unaware of the storm that awaited her. The sun rose over the city, painting the skyline with hues of orange and pink. Rachel woke up early, her excitement palpable. She quickly dressed in her chosen outfit, feeling both confident and nervous. As she glanced at her reflection in the mirror, she gave herself a reassuring smile. "You've worked for this," she whispered. "You belong there." Rachel grabbed her neatly organized folder of documents and notes before stepping out of her apartment. She climbed into her old sedan, which had served her faithfully over the years despite its frequent breakdowns. As she navigated the city streets, her thoughts swirled with anticipation. The Tesla showroom gleamed in the distance, its modern facade reflecting the morning light. Rachel parked her car, took a deep breath, and stepped out. She was finally here, ready to make her dream a reality. Walking into the showroom felt like stepping into the future. The space was sleek and minimalist, with bright lights illuminating the shiny electric vehicles on display. The atmosphere was charged with the hum of innovation, and Rachel couldn't help but feel a surge of pride as she admired the cutting-edge designs. Her eyes immediately landed on the Model X, the car she had been dreaming of for years. Its elegant design and state-of-the-art features embodied everything Rachel had worked for. She approached the car, running her fingers lightly over the smooth surface of the hood. The experience felt surreal, like a culmination of all her hard work and sacrifices. Rachel looked around, hoping to find a salesperson to assist her. As she waited, she noticed the showroom buzzing with other customers, professionals in tailored suits and couples discussing their purchases. She felt a twinge of self-consciousness but quickly brushed it aside. "I belong here," she reminded herself. A tall woman with sharp features and a neatly tailored gray suit approached Rachel. Her name tag read Melissa. Rachel smiled warmly and extended her hand. "Hi, I'm Rachel. I'm very interested in the Model X," she began. "I've been researching it for years, and I'd like to explore the available options." Melissa's eyes flicked over Rachel's outfit and then to her old sedan visible through the glass windows. Her smile was thin and perfunctory, and there was a subtle but unmistakable edge to her tone when she spoke. "Are you sure the Model X is what you're looking for?" Melissa asked, her eyes narrowing slightly. "It's one of our most premium models. The starting price is over $100. Rachel's smile faltered for a moment, but she quickly recovered. "Yes, I'm aware. I've saved for years to make this purchase, and I'd like to move forward." Melissa's expression didn't soften. Instead, she crossed her arms and gestured toward the more affordable models on display. "Maybe you'd like to take a look at the Model 3. It's a more practical option." Rachel's chest tightened, but she refused to let Melissa's dismissive tone rattle her. "I appreciate your suggestion, but I've done extensive research, and the Model X is what I want. Can we discuss the available features and pricing options?" Melissa sighed audibly, her posture rigid. She gestured for Rachel to follow her, but her tone remained cold and indifferent. As they walked to the sales desk, Rachel could feel the stares of other customers and employees. Whether it was curiosity or judgment, their eyes seemed to pierce through her, making her feel out of place. Melissa began rattling off details about the car, her words quick and dismissive. When Rachel asked a question about the battery's range, Melissa rolled her eyes. "It's all in the brochure," she said curtly, sliding a glossy pamphlet across the desk. "You can read it yourself." Rachel clenched her fists under the table, struggling to maintain her composure. She had faced prejudice before, but experiencing it in a space where she had worked so hard to belong felt especially painful. As Rachel tried to steer the conversation back to her purchase, Melissa leaned back in her chair and smirked. "Look, I don't mean to be rude, but maybe this isn't the right fit for you. I don't want to waste your time or mine." Rachel froze. The words hung in the air, heavy with implication. She could feel her face flush with a mix of anger and humiliation. "I've worked hard for this," Rachel said, her voice steady despite the lump in her throat. "I'm here to make a serious purchase, and I expect to be treated like any other customer." Melissa shrugged, unbothered. "If you say so," she said, her tone dripping with condescension. As the tension between Rachel and Melissa escalated, a younger employee named Lena watched from a distance. Lena had been working at the showroom for only a few months, but she had already noticed Melissa's tendency to treat certain customers dismissively. Watching Rachel endure such blatant disrespect ignited a fire in Lena's chest. She discreetly pulled out her phone and began recording the interaction. knowing that what she was witnessing wasn't just unprofessional, it was wrong. The situation reached its breaking point when Melissa called over a colleague and, in a stage whisper loud enough for Rachel to hear, said, "She's wasting my time. Can you believe she thinks she can afford a Model X?" Laughter erupted from a nearby group of employees. Rachel's heart sank as she realized they were laughing at her. The humiliation was unbearable, but she refused to let it break her. Standing tall, Rachel addressed Melissa directly. "Your behavior is unacceptable. I came here as a serious customer, and I will not be treated this way." Melissa smirked. "If you have a problem, you're welcome to take it up with management." "Fine," Rachel replied, her voice firm. "I'd like to speak to your manager." Melissa crossed her arms and said, "You're looking at her." Before Rachel could respond, Melissa gestured to security. 2 guards approached, their expressions uncomfortable but dutiful. "Please escort her out," Melissa said, her tone laced with mockery. "She's disrupting the showroom." Rachel felt the weight of every eye in the room as the guards reluctantly led her toward the exit. Despite the humiliation, she held her head high. She refused to let them see her break. As she stepped out into the sunlight, Rachel's heart ached with a mix of anger and sadness. But deep down, a spark of determination began to grow. This wasn't over. Inside the showroom, Lena stopped recording and uploaded the video to her social media account with a caption, "This is how we treat customers. Discrimination has no place here." What happened next would change everything. Rachel sat in her car in the showroom parking lot, her hands gripping the steering wheel as she fought to control her emotions. She had come here with hope and excitement, only to leave humiliated and dismissed. But as she replayed the interaction in her mind, she felt anger overtaking her sadness. "This isn't just about me," Rachel whispered to herself. "This is about something bigger." Meanwhile, inside the showroom, Lena's uploaded video began to gain traction. Within hours, the post started to attract comments and shares. At first, it was her immediate circle of friends expressing outrage. Then, as social media algorithms pushed the video to wider audiences, the comments began pouring in. By the next morning, the video had gone viral. People from all walks of life shared their shock and outrage over how Rachel had been treated. Influencers picked up the story, reposting the video with captions like, "Discrimination in plain sight. This isn't just bad service, it's systemic bias. She saved for years, only to be dismissed and humiliated. This has to stop. #Justice for Rachel. No one should face this kind of treatment." The hashtag Justice for Rachel began trending on multiple platforms. People shared similar stories of being judged or dismissed based on their appearance, turning Rachel's experience into a symbol of a larger societal issue. Major news outlets quickly picked up the story. Headlines like, "Customer humiliated at Tesla showroom sparks nationwide conversation on discrimination," and "Viral video forces Tesla to address bias allegations," dominated online news feeds. Rachel had no idea her experience had gone viral until her best friend, Mia, called her later that day. "Rachel, you need to check Twitter," Mia said breathlessly. "You're everywhere." Rachel hesitated, unsure if she wanted to relive the painful experience. But as she opened her phone and saw the flood of support pouring in, her feelings shifted from fear to empowerment. Strangers from around the world were standing with her, sharing messages of encouragement and solidarity. One message stood out: "Your courage to stand tall in that moment has inspired so many of us. You're not alone." The viral video created a public relations nightmare for Tesla. The company's social media accounts were inundated with comments demanding accountability. At first, Tesla released a generic statement. "Tesla is committed to diversity and inclusion. We take incidents like this very seriously and are investigating the matter." But the statement only fueled the backlash, with critics accusing the company of not addressing the issue directly. The pressure mounted for Tesla's CEO, Elon Musk, to respond. Known for his direct and often spontaneous engagement on social media, Elon Musk couldn't ignore the situation. Late that evening, he tweeted, "I've seen the video. This behavior is completely unacceptable. I will personally ensure that this is addressed. #Justice for Rachel." The tweet, like the video, went viral, garnering millions of likes, retweets, and comments. Musk's involvement added a new layer of attention to the story. with many praising his swift acknowledgement while others waited to see if action would follow. The day after Musk's tweet, Rachel received a call from an unfamiliar number. When she answered, the voice on the other end was unmistakable. "Hello, Rachel. This is Elon Musk." Rachel's breath caught in her throat. "Mr. Musk?" she stammered, barely believing her ears. "Yes," he said warmly. "I wanted to personally apologize for what you experienced at our showroom. It was wrong, and it goes against everything Tesla stands for. I'd like to meet with you to discuss this further and ensure we make things right." Rachel, still processing the enormity of the moment, managed to reply, "Thank you, Mr. Musk. I'd be open to that." A few days later, Tesla organized a press event at the same showroom where Rachel had been humiliated. The goal was not only to address the incident but also to announce changes within the company to prevent similar situations in the future. Rachel arrived at the showroom, nervous but determined. The atmosphere was markedly different from her last visit. Employees stood respectfully, their demeanor professional and welcoming. At the center of the room, Elon Musk waited to greet her. "Rachel," Musk said, extending his hand, "thank you for coming and for allowing us the opportunity to make this right." Rachel shook his hand, meeting his gaze. "Thank you for addressing this. It's not just about me, it's about everyone who's ever been judged unfairly." Musk nodded. "You're absolutely right, and we're committed to making meaningful changes." In front of the gathered press, Musk addressed the incident. He acknowledged Tesla's failure and announced immediate actions. Mandatory inclusion training. All Tesla employees, from sales staff to management, would undergo comprehensive training on diversity, equity, and customer respect. Independent oversight. A new department would be established to handle customer complaints and ensure accountability. Zero tolerance policy. Employees found engaging in discriminatory behavior would face immediate consequences. Finally, Musk turned to Rachel and said, "As a gesture of our apology and recognition of your resilience, we'd like to offer you the Model X you've worked so hard for. Free of charge." The room erupted in applause as Rachel's eyes filled with tears. She accepted the keys, not just as a gift, but as a symbol of the progress her story had inspired. The changes didn't stop there. Rachel's story continued to resonate, sparking conversations across industries about bias and inclusion. She became a sought-after speaker, sharing her experience and advocating for systemic change. Tesla, under intense scrutiny, followed through on its promises, setting a new standard for accountability in the corporate world. As Rachel drove her new Model X through the city streets, she reflected on the journey that had brought her here. The car was more than just a vehicle. It was a symbol of resilience, justice, and the power of standing up for what's right. Her story had begun with a dream, faced adversity, and ended with a mission: to inspire others to demand the respect and fairness they deserve. The viral nature of Rachel's story did more than just expose the injustice she experienced. It inspired countless others to share their own. Social media platforms were flooded with stories from people who had faced similar discrimination in luxury spaces, workplaces, and other facets of life. The hashtag Justice for Rachel evolved into a broader movement advocating for fairness, dignity, and respect for everyone, regardless of appearance or background. People used the tag to recount their struggles, from being ignored in high-end stores to being judged based on stereotypes. Rachel's story became a unifying symbol for those who had felt invisible for far too long. Rachel, initially overwhelmed by the attention, began to see the potential her platform offered. With encouragement from her friends and the flood of messages she received, she decided to speak up, not just for herself, but for everyone who had ever felt dismissed or undervalued. Her first step was a heartfelt post on social media. "I never expected my trip to the showroom to spark such a conversation. But I'm grateful it did. This isn't just about me, it's about all of us who deserve respect and fairness. Let's continue to hold each other accountable and build a better, more inclusive world." The post garnered millions of likes and comments, with people expressing their admiration for her courage. Soon after, Rachel was invited to appear on major news outlets, podcasts, and panels to discuss her experience and the changes it had inspired. Rachel's newfound visibility allowed her to shine a light on systemic issues that extended far beyond her personal experience. She partnered with advocacy organizations focused on diversity and inclusion, lending her voice to campaigns aimed at reducing discrimination in customer service, corporate culture, and beyond. One particularly moving moment came during a televised interview. The host asked Rachel, "What would you say to others who feel like their voices won't be heard?" Rachel paused, then replied, "I used to think the same thing, that speaking up wouldn't change anything. But I've learned that even the smallest action can spark a ripple effect. It's not about shouting the loudest, it's about standing firm in your truth and refusing to accept less than you deserve." Her words resonated deeply, inspiring more people to come forward with their stories and advocate for change in their communities. Elon Musk's promises to overhaul Tesla's practices were more than just words. Within weeks, the company rolled out a comprehensive training program for all employees, emphasizing empathy, inclusion, and respect. Rachel was invited to participate in the program's launch, sharing her story as a case study for why these changes were necessary. Tesla also created a customer advisory board, inviting individuals from diverse backgrounds, including Rachel, to provide feedback and ensure that customer experiences were consistently equitable and positive. These reforms were met with widespread praise, positioning Tesla as a leader in corporate accountability. Other companies, inspired by Tesla's actions and the #JusticeForRachel movement, began implementing similar measures, sparking a broader cultural shift in the way businesses approached customer service and inclusivity. Back in her neighborhood, Rachel's story had a profound impact on the people closest to her. At her workplace, colleagues who had once overlooked her ideas began to seek out her perspective, recognizing the value of her voice. Her younger brother, Tyler, was particularly inspired by her resilience. "Rach," Tyler said one evening, "you've shown me that standing up for yourself doesn't just help you, it helps everyone around you. When I'm a doctor, I want to treat every patient with the same respect you fought for." Rachel smiled, feeling a deep sense of pride. "That's all I could ever ask for," she said. She also resumed her volunteer work teaching STEM workshops to underprivileged youth, incorporating lessons about self-worth and perseverance. "Innovation isn't just about technology," she told her students. "It's about building a world where everyone has the chance to succeed." One day, while Rachel was grocery shopping, she was approached by a woman who looked familiar. It was Lena, the employee who had secretly recorded the incident at the showroom. "Rachel," Lena began, her voice hesitant, "I've been wanting to thank you. Watching you stand up for yourself that day gave me the courage to act. I'm so glad I did." Rachel smiled warmly. "Thank you for being brave enough to take a stand. Your actions made all the difference." The two women exchanged numbers and kept in touch, supporting each other as their lives evolved in the wake of the incident. Months after the incident, Rachel was invited to speak at a global conference on equity and inclusion. Standing on stage before thousands of attendees, she felt a sense of nervous excitement. Her journey, once defined by struggle and sacrifice, had transformed into a platform for change. As she addressed the audience, Rachel shared a powerful message. "Every time we stand up for ourselves and others, we push the world closer to fairness. It's not easy, and it doesn't happen overnight, but it's worth it. Never underestimate the power of your voice." The audience erupted into applause, and Rachel felt a profound sense of fulfillment. Her pain had been transformed into purpose, her silence into strength. As the months turned into years, Rachel's story remained a touchstone for conversations about equity and inclusion. Tesla's reforms continued to serve as a model for other companies, and Rachel's advocacy inspired countless individuals to stand up for themselves and others. Driving her Model X through the city streets, Rachel often reflected on how far she had come. The car, once just a dream, now represented so much more: her resilience, her impact, and the possibility of a world where everyone is treated with dignity and respect. Her journey was far from over, but she was ready for whatever lay ahead. With every mile she drove, Rachel carried the lessons of her past and the hope of a brighter future. Rachel's journey continued to expand beyond anything she had imagined. With her advocacy work gaining momentum, she was invited to serve on boards, deliver keynote speeches, and consult for companies looking to improve their inclusivity practices. Though the initial incident at Tesla had been painful, it had also opened doors for Rachel to make a tangible difference in the world. Despite her rising profile, Rachel remained grounded. She continued her volunteer work and regularly visited her old neighborhood, speaking to students and young professionals about resilience, hard work, and the importance of self-worth. She often reminded them, "You are more than the labels society puts on you. Don't let anyone define your worth." Lena, the young employee who had recorded the viral video, found her own voice through the ordeal. After leaving Tesla, she pursued a new career in advocacy, working with organizations that promoted diversity and fairness in the workplace. She and Rachel frequently collaborated on projects, and their bond deepened as they continued to champion the causes they both cared about. One day, over coffee, Lena told Rachel, "I used to think someone like me couldn't make a difference. Watching you taught me that change starts with one small act of courage." Rachel smiled, her heart full, and that act of courage sparked a movement. Never underestimate the power of doing what's right. Tesla's reforms, initiated in response to Rachel's experience, began to show results. The company's new inclusion policies became benchmarks for the industry, earning praise from advocacy groups and customers alike. Employees reported feeling more supported and empowered, and customer complaints about discriminatory behavior dropped significantly. Elon Musk, true to his word, remained involved in the reform process. He frequently invited Rachel to consult on company initiatives, valuing her insights and lived experience. The two developed a professional rapport based on mutual respect, and Rachel came to see Musk as someone genuinely committed to making amends. "I can't undo what happened," Musk told Rachel during one of their meetings, "but I can ensure that Tesla learns from it. Thank you for holding us accountable." On the one-year anniversary of the incident, Rachel organized a community event in her neighborhood. The event, titled Empowerment Through Resilience, brought together speakers, workshops, and resources to inspire others to pursue their dreams despite obstacles. Standing on stage, Rachel reflected on the past year. "What happened to me could have broken my spirit," she said, "but instead, it reminded me of the power we all have to create change, not just for ourselves, but for others. Today, I celebrate not just my journey, but the journeys of everyone who dares to believe in their worth." The crowd erupted into applause, and Rachel felt a profound sense of fulfillment. She had turned her pain into purpose, and her story had become a beacon for others navigating their own struggles. That evening, Rachel drove her Model X through the city streets, the hum of the electric motor a soothing reminder of how far she had come. The car, once just a dream, had become a symbol of her resilience and determination. As she pulled into her driveway, she thought about the countless people who had supported her, the movement she had helped spark, and the lives she had touched along the way. She knew her journey wasn't over. There were still battles to fight and changes to make, but she felt ready for whatever came next. Looking up at the night sky, Rachel smiled. "The journey never ends," she said softly, "but I'm grateful for every step." Years later, Rachel's story remained a powerful reminder of the importance of standing up against injustice. Schools, businesses, and community groups often referenced her journey as an example of how one person's courage can inspire systemic change. Rachel continued her advocacy work, balancing it with her engineering career and her passion for mentoring young people. She remained humble, always reminding herself that her achievements were not just her own, they were built on the support of those who believed in her. One day, as she walked past her old vision board, now framed on her wall, Rachel paused to admire the image of the Model X that had once seemed so unattainable. Next to it, she had added a new picture, a group of smiling students from one of her STEM workshops, holding up projects they had created. The dream had evolved. Rachel realized it was no longer about a car or a milestone. It was about creating a world where everyone could achieve their dreams, no matter where they started or what they looked like. As Rachel turned off the light and left the room, the vision board remained, a quiet testament to her journey and the limitless possibilities of resilience, courage, and hope.